Chapter 4. In this chapter, you will learn how to serve a copy of your completed forms and how to complete the Affidavit of Service form to prove that the other party and the county attorney have been served. Anytime you serve another party with court documents, you must also file an Affidavit of Service. An Affidavit of Service is proof that the other party was served with copies of the paperwork. The form itself is not served on the other party, it's only filed with the court. Before completing the Affidavit of Service, it is important to understand what service means. Service is making sure the other party receives a copy of the forms you prepared for court. By receiving a copy of your motion forms, the other party knows when and where the hearing is. They will also know what you are asking the court for and your reasons for making the request. Service can be done in different ways. For a motion to modify child support, you can serve the other party and county attorney by personal service, which means hand-delivering the forms to the other party at their home, or by leaving the forms with someone of suitable age or discretion who also lives in the home. It can also be done by mail, which means someone will mail the copies of the forms to the other party by first-class mail. Certified mail is not required or suggested for this type of motion. One very important rule to remember about service is that you cannot be the person to serve the forms. You must find a person who is not a party to the case and is at least 18 years of age to serve the paperwork for you. The person must also be willing to sign the Affidavit of Service in front of a notary or court administration. For a motion to modify child support, you must serve the following documents: the Notice of Motion and Motion to Modify Child Support, CSX 202, the Affidavit in Support of Motion to Modify Child Support, CSX 203, and any financial documents that provide proof of your income. This may include pay stubs, unemployment checks, tax records, bank account statements, etc. Be sure to make 3 copies of all of these documents. 1 copy for you, 1 copy for the other party, and 1 copy for the county attorney. Not only is it important for you to properly serve your forms, you must also serve them on time. There are different service deadlines depending on the type of service you plan to use. If you plan to serve by personal service, the forms must be hand-delivered at least 20 days before the hearing date. If you plan to serve by first-class mail, they must be mailed at least 23 days before the hearing date. If you are following along with this video, but using the motion to modify child support forms for the district court process, you will have different service deadlines. Carefully read your instructions for those dates. Please be aware that if you do not serve your forms to the other party on time, your case may not be heard. This means you would have to schedule a new hearing date, amend your forms, and reserve the parties. So the sooner you can complete these forms and serve them to the other party, the better. Some tips on service. Remember that you cannot serve the forms yourself. You must have someone over the age of 18 serve the forms for you. As we discussed earlier, this can be done by personal service or by first-class mail. After the parties are served, whoever served the forms for you must fill out and sign in front of a notary the Affidavit of Service form, CSX 102. This form cannot and should not be signed until after the service is complete. A copy of this form does not get served on the other parties. It is only filed with the court for your proof of service. Please be aware that you may need more than 1 Affidavit of Service form if you plan to serve both parties by the same type of service. For example, if you plan to serve both parties by mail, then you will need 2 different Affidavit of Service forms, 1 for each because there is not space on the form for both parties' addresses. There are times when you may not know the other party's address and have been unsuccessful in finding it. If you have tried to locate the other party with no success and the County Child Support Office is involved in your case, you may ask for a court order directing the Child Support Office to mail your papers to the other party. This requires additional forms to be completed. If the court orders the Child Support Office to serve the other party, this would satisfy the service requirement. The Request for County to Serve Papers packet is available on our court website. You can return to www.mncourts.gov/child support videos and click on the link to download and print those forms. Carefully read the instructions for how to fill out the request and affidavit for county to serve papers forms. When you are finished with the forms, file all of your forms with the court. Please be aware that even if you ask the county to serve the papers to the other party, you are still responsible to serve the county attorney with their copy of your motion paperwork, so you will still need an affidavit of service form for service on them. Let's now look at the affidavit of service form. You can notice on the bottom left-hand side of the form, you will see CSX 102. You can fill out portions of this form yourself for the person who served your paperwork. However, the person who served the forms must be the person to actually sign the form. At this point, you already know how to fill in the caption of the form. Check the box for how your forms were served, personal service or service by mail. Remember, if you are serving both the other party and the county attorney by mail, you will need 2 forms. If you plan to use both types of service, then you can use one form. You will see an example of what that form might look like later. Fill in the county where the affidavit will be signed. This may or may not be in the same county where your case is filed. In this example, the form will be signed in Blue Earth County. Betty Rubble is the person that served the forms for Fred on September 30th, 2011. The forms that are required to be served are the motion to modify child support and affidavit in support of motion to modify child support, along with financial documents. Betty served the plaintiff, Wilma Rubble, so she checked the box saying she was served by mail and filled in Wilma's name, city, state, and last known address. Betty's name, address, and telephone number are printed at the bottom of the form. Repeat this form for the county attorney if you mailed a copy to their office, being sure to check the box for the county attorney. The affidavit of service should not be signed until the person who served it for you is in front of a notary or court administrator. If you plan to have the county attorney served by personal service, then you can use one affidavit of service form and check both boxes, and fill in information for both the other party and the county attorney's office. Be sure to write in the time the papers were served and the address of the county attorney's office. As I explained before, the person who serves the forms must sign the affidavit of service form, forms if more than one, in front of a notary or court administrator. Again, using a blue pen will help you to determine which forms are the originals. This form does not get sent to the other party. It only gets filed with the court. However, it is a good idea to make a copy for your records. This is the end of Chapter 4. Click on the next chapter for the finishing steps to complete your motion to modify child support forms and prepare them to file with the court.